Carry on. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So we're for Zelenskyy and Putin, we're comparing the Raja yogas, and we'll use that as basis for looking into the Sarvatobhadra chakra.
Right.
So first thing is, this is Zelenskyy's chart, and we say, we want to check how does his trinal lords, fifth lord and ninth lord, connect to the Kendra lords? Does it give any Kendra Kona yogas? These give the power to act. So his fifth lord is Mercury, and Mercury doesn't have such strong connections, but it does have the 10th lord is Rahu as well as Saturn. Rahu is actually stronger, and Mercury and Rahu have they have Rashi Drishtis.
Mm-hmm.
And Rahu in itself is good because it is the 10th lord, and it's in its own Mula-Trikona sign in the 5th. So Rahu's very powerful. And Mercury has a strong linkage with them. And that Mercury has this Jupiter Parivartana. So I said this Raj Yoga is what made him successful.
Yeah.
He's the comedian and the media guy.
Yeah.
But then he has this much more important Raj Yoga, which is 9th lord. So that is Saturn. And we see Saturn has a very strong Parivartana with the sun, which is the 4th lord and the 9th lord. Mm-hmm. So that is a Vishnu yoga. And Saturn is the yoga karaka for Taurus rising. And so this gives the potential for a great leader. And it's a Rashi Drishti with the best Rashi Drishti, Abhimukha Rashi Drishti. Those are political signs, Leo and Capricorn. So it means he can hold off challengers, and he's a very powerful leader. And he has the power of Vishnu. And Vishnu makes you invincible, and Vishnu is sitting in the 4th house of the homeland, being attacked by Papakartri Yoga. But the Parivartana suggests that he will be the one to root out the invaders from the homeland. Mm-hmm. So that's his Raj Yoga. Okay, then if we look at his dashas, he has been in, his chart has a moon in the 3rd house. So we use the variations, if the moon is in the 3rd house, we should use Utpana Vimshotari Dasha. So if we use the Utpana, it started, he's in the 4th Dasha, Moon, Mars, Rahu, Jupiter. And the details are, he's just finishing this Utpana Jupiter. So Jupiter started back in 2007 when he was still in his media career. Wow. And it went all through that. And then everything shifted around 2018. He decided kind of on a whim to run for president because he had been the servant of the people on TV. Mm-hmm. And Jupiter Moon. So Moon is his Atmakaraka with Mars. So that gave this shift, and amazingly, he got elected in Jupiter Mars. So since then, he's been in the final bhukti, which is always dangerous, and it's Jupiter Rahu. Mm. And it's about to shift on November 27th in just a month. Mm-hmm. So that is huge because it's going into Saturn, and Mariella will say, "Oh my God!" and he's going into Saturn, and he's got that Mars transit. But, and just to check that it is working, like he got married in Rahu Venus 2003. Mm-hmm. So, I think this Dasha tracks pretty well. So he's going into this big shift.
Is he going to make the shift? I think that's the big question.
Is he going to make?
Yeah. Is he going to be alive to make that shift?
It's a month, my dear. Mm? Okay, so hang on.
Okay.
Okay, so the conflict got underway in Jupiter Rahu. I mean, Rahu is definitely, we can see that could be a problem. But so this is almost at the end, and the invasion began in Jupiter, Rahu, Venus, and it'll be Saturn on November 27th. Okay. Now, so we'll check his SBC. And we can see natal. This is his natal chart. Okay, so here's his ascendant. And Jupiter is in the same nakshatra, Mrigashira. So ascendant and Jupiter are in Mrigashira, which is the mind nakshatra from the moon. These are all special nakshatras from the moon. So this is manas, or mental brilliance, because Jupiter and Mercury have a parivartana. So this is great. He has this powerful Jupiter in the Lagna nakshatra in the mind. And in the SBC, we do have to use the all the tattvas, and the Akash tattva is in the boxes with letters. So you take the person's name, and his name starts with the Va. So his name is right next to the Jupiter Lagna. So that allows for fame and everything. Now he's been in Jupiter Dasha, okay? And he's going into Saturn. And so Jupiter is good because of this, but Jupiter does not have any particular great Vedas on it or anything. But what Jupiter does do is it's Vedic, it's retrograde, so it goes backwards like this.
Right.
And this letter L is here. So Vladimir is L, because Volodymyr is Va, but his enemy Vlad is L. So he's in that box. So Jupiter is actually putting a Veda onto Vladimir.
Right.
And it's just a suggestion that he can actually defeat Vladimir Putin. But anyway, that's just a hint. That's just an intuition. But the other important thing to see from this is Saturn. He's going into Saturn Dasha, and he has this parivartana of Saturn, which is in this Magha Nakshatra down in the corner. It's not in the screen because it's not in the pada that would name area, but it's in Magha Nakshatra, and it's Veda. Its Veda goes backwards onto the moon. It's a retrograde planet, so it puts a Veda onto his natal moon, they're very interconnected. That's all we can say. But
if it's going, if it's going to go retrograde, why isn't it going into the screen then?
It is heading to the screen, but when he was born, it didn't reach the screen.
Oh, I see. I beg your pardon. Okay, because this is the natal one. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Excellent point. But here, the big clincher that makes this chart absolutely amazing is this. He has Sun and Venus over here in Shravana, and Sun's Veda goes in all directions. So it has a backwards Veda like this. And if you the Veda, it's through Capricorn, the sign where the sun is. That's really good when the planet goes through the sign it's in.
Yeah.
It goes through this box. It goes through this one, which has his Tithi. I think he's born in the second Tithi, and Wednesday, he's born on a Wednesday. So it's activating his Vara and his Tithi. It goes through Leo, which is where Saturn is, and it goes to Saturn.
Right.
So we can say it's activating every single tattva. It's activating, except for the letter. It's not doing any main thing, but it's doing the day, the Tithi, the nakshatra, and the Vara. Anyway, so it's super powerful. And so once Saturn Dasha starts, he's like firing on all cylinders because his moon is brought into it much more than in Jupiter. In Jupiter, it kind of was a surprise. He didn't even believe that Russia was going to invade, and he was kind of like, he was more concerned about the economy.
Right.
And they sneaked up on him, and then, wow, but now he's
Yeah.
Now he's going into this, which is super major. So here it is for the invasion. Now here's the inside box. Here is his natal. So we see again that sun going down to that Saturn, which is really great. And now we see what happened on the moment of the invasion. So L for Vladimir. You know, at the moment of the invasion, the country nakshatra, the transit was activated by Vladimir, or, you know, Jupiter was going through all that. But that's not really active. What's active here is this. The ascendant was on Zelenskyy's Mercury, and it was coming down through R for Russia and hitting Zelenskyy's Rahu. And, you know, then it's going up here to hitting K2. So basically, these four nakshatras in the center of the SVC are called the portal. They're like the doorways to to higher energy. So it's kind of like just Zelenskyy here is just, it's like the beginning is pushing him through these portals, and he's, you know, he doesn't really know what's hitting him very much.
Sorry, why are they portals? Because Rahu Ketu are there, or for some other reason?
Because these are the central nakshatra.
Central, yeah.
Of the seven, there's 7 on each row, and the fourth one is the center.
Oh, I see. Okay, fair enough. Yes, thank you.
That's where those extra letters are and stuff like that. Okay, so then now we're looking at this is today or yesterday or whatever. So Mars is transiting over his ascendant, his Jupiter. So we see this huge barrage has been hitting, you know, since they attacked the bridge. They've unleashed the hounds, and they've just done so much damage. And so we see Mars is on his Jupiter, and this bunch of planet K2 just shifted out of Vishaka into Swati. It's in this stellium, which is in Zelenskyy's danger special nakshatra. But now it's going through the R for Russia. So now the effects on Russia are much more intense now that K2 has shifted out of Vishaka into into Swati. And that just happened this week. So it's like finally Russia is going to start realizing the K2 nature of what it's doing.
Ah, right. I see. The self-realization, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Self-realization. So that's where it is right now. And then here's Putin. So for Putin's chart, I use the Scorpio chart. It's on Astro Data Bank, and he said it himself, this is his correct birth time. So it fits him much more than the Libra that we used to use.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, so what birth time are you using for him?
It is at, let's see, it's on the next chart, 1:05 p.m.
1:05 p.m. And this is what is given on Astro Data Bank, did you say?
Yes, there's two versions. One is, one is the Libra rising that I don't know how people got it, but then there's one in the source notes where it says Putin himself said in an interview that his correct time is this.
Ah, excellent.
Right.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so this really works because, we'll just go back to that Navamsha for a minute, because Jupiter is his Atmakaraka. And when you have this birth time, in the Navamsha, it puts Jupiter in the Lagna, which is a signature for being a huge, powerful leader when you have the Atmakaraka Navamsha Lagna.
Mm-hmm.
With the Libra, there's nothing there to show him being a great leader. So it's got to be this. Plus Scorpio, spies, warlord, destruction, madman.
Yeah.
So, okay, so if we look at his Kendra Kona yogas, then we say his third is Jupiter, and it's in a Parivartana with his Lagna Lord Mars. So that's a super Raj yoga. It's, Lagna Lord and fifth Lord, and Lagna Lord is Jupiter is the AK. And But Jupiter in a Dushtana is very bad, especially retrograde. So this makes him a warlord, completely merciless, horrible warlord. And
would you say, Sat Siri, that Jupiter at Makaraka, one of the main lessons of life, is to follow a path of peace? Can you say that?
yes, I think that would be.
He's failed. Okay.
He's clearly come back to do this, try and learn the same thing again with this retrograde Jupiter.
Yeah.
And he'll come back about 3 times 300 more with that. So then he has so the 5th lord. Then we check Jupiter Jupiter's the 5th lord. So check it for the other kendras, and its strongest link is to the 7th lord, Venus. It's in 7 from Venus. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely that's a sambandha with the 7th house, and Mercury there in the 12th house. It's a Rajas thing, which gives him worldwide wealth exploitation. Very strong. And then we check the 9th house, and the 9th lord is Moon, and Moon is in the 7th, and it has Abhimukha Drishti on the Rashi Drishti on Venus, the 7th lord. So hugely strong sambandha with the 7th house. So 9 lord and 7 is Shiva Yoga, which means good at learning, a great strategist. Mm-hmm. But the moon is his downfall, because the moon is the Bhadakesh. And for Scorpio, the moon has to be very suppressed. It should be in the 12th house. But here it's in the 7th house. And it also is dispositing Ketu. So he makes these big blunders, and he has delusions, especially with regard to the army, because Ketu is the army. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But so by far the most important kendra is the 7th house. And so that gives him the blessings of Sri Varaha, Rahu as an avatar. So Rahu can elevate or destroy him. So as far as seeing when he will go out of power, Rahu is going to have to play a big role in that, because Rahu is the avatar for 7th house, and 7th is by far his most important kendra. And Rahu is in Parivartana with Saturn, because Saturn rules Capricorn and Rahu rules Virgo as a Mulatrikon. So there's a lot going on there with that Rahu. We got to watch the transits there. So using Dasha for him, he's got a Vargotama Lagna that makes him, this Raj Yoga, giving him such power. Important Shatabdika Dasha should work. Mm-hmm. Vimshodri variation, but I think this one works really well. So Shatabdika, he's in the 4th one, which is the Sun. And right now it's Sun Mars. So the invasion happened under Sun Mars. So we saw Mars is in Parivartana. Mars is the 11th lord in Parivartana with Jupiter, the AK. So it's super important. So those are what we have to look for. And we have to look for Rahu, Sun, and Mars or Jupiter, because Mars and Jupiter are interchangeable because of Parivartana. So we check those planets in the SPC. So here's his SPC, which is really hits you in the face, because in his birth, this is his birth SPC, Sarvatobhadra chakra. He has Rahu in the screen. It's in the first pada. So
we're not seeing what you're showing.
Oh, maybe it's.
We can see his. Yeah, that's it now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a big lag. So Rahu is, like his avatar, and it's so important for him. And it's in the screen. It's the first pada of Dhanishta, so it's right in the corner. That means it's activating the central diagonal, all 4 vowels in the screen, and it goes through the central Om in the middle with Saturn.
Wow.
And not only that Rahu, but also Jupiter, Atmakaraka in the 6th house of enmity, is in the 4th pada, so it is also in the screen pada. So this is what makes his chart completely, one of a kind, completely just, very unusual. So at all times from birth, he's activating, all this stuff in the center. So that's why he's so scary and formidable. But then it'll also have the padas going through the diagonal alongside the central diagonal. When a planet is in the screen, it really has two Vedas, two tracks for its Veda. That's another reason why it's so important when planets are in the screen. And right now we have transiting Saturn in the screen on his Rahu. So other things on the natal chart to notice are Jupiter is activating the L letter in Vladimir. It's activating Aries, the sign where Jupiter is. And it's activating Scorpio, the sign where Mars is. And it's activating his ascendant. So he's like a live wire. I mean, his whole life is this incredible live wire. And it activates his whole life long U, the name for Ukraine. U, double U in the screen. And his sun is in the central portals where all these extra Akashic energy. And that goes through, one of its Vedas goes through for Russia.
Right. Wow.
This is all just the natal stuff. And he's born on a day of Mars, and that's getting activated by Rahu Tuesday. So the Rahu Veda goes through Tuesday, and his Tithi is 5, and that's in the center in Purnima and in the, in that central area, and that's activated. So, wow. I mean, he's just an incredible live wire. So now looking at the invasion, now he's in the center. So what was happening there was Ketu was in the screen in the 4th pada of Vishaka. And on the weekend when he was ordering this, the moon went over that corner. And it was at the moment the first bombs were dropping, the moon was in Scorpio on his natal ascendant. And that is conjunct, it's on his natal ascendant. So luckily his ascendant is not in the screen. And then also amazing is that Saturn's transit is in the 1st pada of Dhanishta on his natal Rahu, both in the screen. And transiting Mercury was in the corner also, but not in the screen, but it's in this place of danger, so Mercury. And then, okay, so those were the main points there. Now, coming up, I think what we have to find is when can that Rahu, which is his avatar, when can that be nullified by the SBC? And so I just, I've been looking ahead at different times, and one time that's really bad is coming up by February of 23, because, because for other things, I think the war should be over by May, but Putin is really in trouble by February. Look at this, February 18th, because Saturn and Sun will be in Dhanishta on his Rahu. And Rahu is transiting over his natal Jupiter, and Rahu will be in the 1st pada. When planets are in the 1st pada, they superactivate planets in the 4th pada. So Rahu will be really hampering Jupiter. Saturn and Sun will be really hampering Rahu. Mars will be coming over the moon. And this Ketu is already going through his Saturn and Mercury. So, he's going to be in Sun, Saturn, Saturn. And Sun, Saturn is a terrible...
Yeah, combination there, yeah.
And it's in Parivartana with Rahu, so...
Wow.
It's interesting that both leaders will be experiencing a change in Mahadasha.
Yeah.
Not exactly at the same time, but, very
almost,
shortly after. Yeah.
Yes, in the next month, within a week. Yeah, within a week. But Putin's just changing Antardasha. He's changing Bhukti from Mars to Saturn. But I think Saturn is really bad for him because Saturn and Sun are in that Pitri dosha, and it has the Rahu Privartana. So.
Oh yes, sorry. I thought that was 16th May 2024. I see, not 2023. So that's he changes from Sun to Moon in 18 months' time, basically.
If he's now, we can say what you said. If he's still around,
if he's still around,
yeah.
If he's still around. Okay, so looking at his natal chart, where are we? So Sun is, Moon is bad for him.
Yeah, you can put it on his.
Although it's exalted, but as we said, it's Badakesh in the 7th house. So I wouldn't have thought that his Moon Dasha was going to be a very good one.
Yeah, I think Moon has always given him, he dazzles people, and he has, he's been so popular and everything.
Can you put it back again, please? I was just looking at the Antardashas now. He's in Sun, Saturn, isn't he? And then he's hello.
Yeah, it takes a moment. It'll come up.
Oh, yeah, sorry, but I just heard something on my phone. I wondered if somebody's been putting up chats or something. Oh, right, here we are. So at where are we now? 9th of October. Wait a minute, you've got the dates the wrong way round in America, yeah? So it's 10 September. Get mixed up. Okay, so 22nd November.
Yeah.
Is when it's going to change from Sun Mars to Sun Saturn, and it starts with Sun Saturn, and then on the 3rd of May it would go to Sun Saturn Sun. Okay, that's what I wanted to have a look at, because that sort of covers the period we're talking about, really, doesn't it? And then, interestingly enough, it then moves to Sun, Saturn, Moon, and we're saying Moon is not terribly good. And that's in May, when you mentioned that you thought the war would end.
Yeah, and that's at the end of May. I mean, I think the war will be over before the end of May.
Right.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Although, who knows? I mean, originally I found October of 23, but I think it's going to keep backing it up.
Right.
So this, what do you mean by no way out, February 18th, 2023?
Because when you have all the malefics on your vital points, if it's more than 3 or more, then that's supposed to cancel everything out. There's no way, there's no way to fight it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay, I understand. And the eclipses, we've got eclipses coming up. How are they going to affect the two leaders? Have you any idea?
Yeah, so October 25th, we have one, right? It's starting October 25th, right? So let's put this for, we can just make the sun 1. Okay, 25th October. Okay. Oh, yeah, so it's in about the 9th or 8th degree of Libra.
Yeah.
Right there, Venus. Wow. Okay, so it's going to be in this Swati where K2 is. And so we already saw that goes through Russia.
That's interesting. The Russia's attack was, I think the ascendant was 8 degrees Gemini.
Yes. Well, that, right, and that matched up with the degree you had. But if you see, that depends where you locate it. I mean, I was in the other presentation, I was using just the Yamakoti.
Yeah.
And made it come out to be 8 Gemini, which was very tuned into the whole cycle thing of the Sun Jupiter. But if you just look at it from you could locate it in Kiev or you could locate it in Moscow. If you locate it in Kiev, it's Sagittarius, 23 of Sagittarius.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Eclipse is going to be we can put the bombing chart there. And then we can put the eclipse there. How is there a lot of appeasers and oppositions to the war around where you guys are in Europe?
No, there isn't. People aren't really saying, I mean, Europe is suffering a very great deal because of the war. I mean, I personally think probably we're suffering more than the Russians are because of the energy crisis. You know, and because we did